Alright, so I've noticed there's a lot of gun videos on YouTube, and one that there appears to be almost no information on is this rifle right here. This is a AR180B2 model made by Armalite in the United States. Now, some basic facts here from the Armalite manual I sent with you. Clearly done on a Xerox machine with a stapler. Not exactly the best quality print, but hey, it works if you bother to read these things. So, cleaning instructions, yada yada yada, safety, pretty basic. Exploded photos, parts, lists, and here we go, specs. Weight. The rifle weighs in without a magazine at 6 pounds. With a loaded aluminum magazine, GI 30 round mag, which they send with it, it weighs in at 6 pounds 10 ounces. The overall length of this rifle is 38 inches. The barrel length is 18 1/4. But because this is the AR182B2 version, which is not restricted in Canada, and it's a California legal version as well, it has an extra bit of length added onto it with this fixed flash suppressor, muzzle brake, whatever you want to call it, right here. That brings the total barrel length up to 19.8 inches. Rifling. It's right hand turn twist, 6 screws, 1 and 9 inch twist. Sight radius between your rear sight here and your front post sight on your gas block is 19.5 inches, and the trigger pull is a horrible 17.8 pounds. Oh, and also while we're on the topic, this rifle has been safety checked. There's nothing in the chamber, and there is no magazine in it. That's a pretty crappy trigger actually, but I'll talk more on that later on. The method of operation is, well, gas, piston to be exact, as opposed to the direct gas system as you'll see on an AR-15. The piston is located on this forward handguard here, where your gas block and your receiver. I'll show that all later. Type of mechanism is a rotating bolt head, and caliber is 5.56 NATO. I know they don't export those out of the U.S. anymore. We got lucky and got one here, because now all those rifles coming out of the U.S. say 223 on them, or 308, because they won't export NATO rounds anymore. But obviously it will handle 223s, and in fact seems to like these guys. The American Eagle 223, I bought them cheap, $10.50 a box from Williams Arms, 55 grain full metal jackets, pretty well. So I shot about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, maybe that's being a little, half an inch, 1/3 of an inch, at about 25 yards with it the other day, so that's not bad, freestanding. Firing characteristics, oh boy. Supposedly 3,250 feet per second. Again, that's depends on what loads you're using, what weight of bullet, and whether you're loading your own, whether you're using factory ammunition, all the variables there. And again, muzzle energy varies. What they claim is 1,300 feet-pounds at the barrel, the muzzle. Chamber pressure, it can handle up to 50,000 psi. So ready for NATO ammo. So if you get someday with a war, either war ends and there's the market's flooded with surplus, don't hold your breath. It can handle those 5.56 NATO rounds, as well as just a simple, standard 223. Maximum rate of semi-automatic fire is 45 to 65 rounds per minute. Now, I said semi-automatic. This rifle has 2 options: safe and fire. There is no third option. There is no full automatic. There is no burst, and it cannot be made to go a full automatic. Of course, you could bump fire it, but that's again not really fully automatic. It cannot be made fully automatic. But the practical rate of fire, according to this, is 12 to 15 rounds per minute. Oops. Maximum range is 2,653 meters for those of us using the metric system, and maximum effective range is 460 meters. Little on the high side, I think. Personally, I wouldn't use it out beyond 300, and realistically, I'm not going to be shooting much beyond a 200-yard gong. Because, you know what, it's not accurate for, personally, as I'm thinking, for plinking off gophers or varmints out to 300 yards. I'm really not going to be using it for hunting it anyways. So those are the basic specifications according to their manual. Now let's talk a little about the rifle. First, I'll mention some pros and cons about the gun. Pros. Well, here in Canada, because of that extra length the fixed muzzle brake adds, and because the fact that it is not an AR-15 system in any way, it is non-restricted, which means no ATTs. For Americans wondering, that's your authorization to transport. It's a little paper you have to get that allows you to take your gun from your house to your one specified range and only there and back, nowhere else. And it has to be a range certified for restricted guns. Because it's non-restricted, you don't have to have that. You can take this out in the back 40 and blast away till your heart's content, and hope like God that when the cops, if they show up, realize that it's non-restricted and not an illegal black scary gun. Other benefits? Well, in the U.S., it would be cost $800 is what these retailed for when they were still made, which is cheaper than an AR-15. Here in Canada, though, they go for about $1,300 new. Problem is, you can't get them new because they don't make them anymore. And in fact, this was the last new one in Canada. I got it from the Shooting Edge out in Calgary, Alberta. God love the West. Other advantages? Well, it is rather simple, as you can see. It's got a square tubular sheet metal receiver, and that piston system keeps it quite cleaner than the direct gas system and less prone to failure of the AR-15, though the AR-15s in terms of reliability really have improved a long way, so can't really comment on that. Other advantages? Well, over the standard AR-18, you know, the favorite of the IRA, this baby does take your standard USGI or any other AR-15 magazine, which means cheaper mags, easier to find, and remember I said I'd come back to that horrible trigger pull? Well, the other advantage of this rifle, perk, whatever you want to call it, is it does take a standard AR-15 trigger group, which means you can pop these two pins out right here and get rid of that horrible trigger and put in the match trigger, two-stage match trigger, whatever you want. Now for the disadvantages. Well, folks, it's not an AR-15. It just isn't. It's never going to be as accurate as an AR-15 because it wasn't meant to be an AR-15. Originally, it was developed as a cheaper, simpler alternative to the AR-15. Hence, the sheet metal here, as opposed to, you know, the high quality, high tolerance milled receivers that you see on an AR-15. So don't be expecting the same accuracy out of it you would out of this as you would an AR-15. It's just not going to happen. It's fairly accurate, it's acceptably accurate, but don't be expecting to make a target gun out of it because you're going to spend a lot of money and you're not going to get that performance. Some people have rebarreled them with a heavier barrel and other calibers. Armed Sask and Canadian Gun Nuts, for example, is the local AR-180B authority in the region, and he's rebarreled it in, I believe, 6.5 Grendel, however you want to pronounce it. One of the disadvantages, this lower receiver here you might see is a different color than the upper receiver, and that's because it's a solid polymer receiver. That's right, plastic, Tupperware. Horrible plastic. Well, people, Glocks are made out of plastic too, and they seem to work out quite well. This one seems pretty solid to me. But with that comes some problems. It is all one solid receiver, which means this grip here can't be swapped out. You can't put in a Magpul or a Tapco or any other of the myriad of grip options offered for the M4, AR-15, M16 styled rifles. The grips are just standard slick plastic, but what I did here, as you can see, I have put a Hogue handheld junior grips, which are meant for small frame pistols like Walther PPKs and things like that, on here, and that does improve it. Only problem was because of this sling swivel here, you gotta heat them up in a little bit of warm water first, get them to soften up and fit over that. Another problem, this stock here, it's hollow, it's plasticky, it sucks. Really, it does. And you can't simply just take it off and swap it out with another, you know, collapsible stock or a, like, you know, M16A2 style stock. You have to take it off, and there's a metal lug at the end of it about that long. You have to cut off, and you can put an adapter on it from Stormworks. Great guy, by the way. Check out his website, stormworks.com. Stormworks with a Z, actually.